Toupees. Let's talk about toupees. I feel that when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, like one of these familiar scenarios you'd see, like in sitcoms, would be a balding man would be wearing a toupee and then he'd be exposed. Somehow someone would pull it off or whatever. Ha ha ha. Everyone laughs. I think it's hilarious. Specifically, there was a show called Saved by the Bell, and in their senior year, Mr. Belding, who was their school principal, decided to start out the year with a toupee. And by the end of the episode, Zach and AC Slater got into a fist fight and they knocked off the toupee and it became a big joke, and then they got along again because this noticeably balding man was wearing a toupee and it was funny. But I can't say that toupees have disappeared since the 80s or 90s. Even now, like in the building that I work in that 6-story building that I work in with the elevators, my king of corporate job, I see men there, pretty sure they're wearing toupees. Let's talk about how I feel about toupees. You know, what do I believe about hair loss? That people should do whatever they think is right for them, okay? Just because I'm a balding advocate doesn't mean I'm against someone getting a hair transplant, toupee, whatever it is. They should do whatever makes them happy, because ultimately you have to do what's going to give you the confidence that you need, okay? But just the concept of wearing a toupee because you're balding, I think for me, the ultimate shame in it, like on TV when you know it was a joke when the guy's toupee got pulled off. The shame was never that the guy was balding. The shame was always that he was trying to hide it. And I think for me, and I'm talking on a personal level, don't make this about you, okay? I'm telling you how I feel, okay? The way I feel is, one of the reasons I became a balding advocate by default is I always felt if I was balding that I would feel shameful if I was trying to stop my own genetics for something that was so natural, common, and normal. That I personally would be ashamed to put on a toupee, to get a hair transplant, to do something so unnatural. It would feel like I wasn't being true to myself. And I'd rather be a naturally balding guy than be a guy who could possibly be exposed. There's a book called Wild at Heart, and in this book, he talks about how men all have this fear that they're going to be discovered, that everyone will find out that they're a phony. That's like a universal thing that men go through specifically. And it probably goes back to that. I'm like, I don't want one more thing that I could be exposed for not being legitimate in some way. So for me, the shame in wearing a toupee was never about, ha ha ha, he's bald. It was always about, he was trying to hide it and he got caught. And for me, that translates in to the other ways to try to stop or prevent or hide hair loss. Anything that shows that you are trying to go through that much extremes to stop it, that's not something I want as part of my identity. That's normally what the video would end, but I have to add this disclaimer at the end. So then some people are going to say, but Nick, come on, man. You've been doing rosemary oil for nearly 2 years. You show products on your channel designed to help people stop losing their hair. How can you say that? Because I'm a universalist. I'm here to give other people other options because they're going to ask for them anyway. They want to see these things. Do they work? What do they look like? So I'm just the guy that models them for those people. Because I'm so accepting of other people's beliefs. Because I can have my own opinion, which is I believe in going bald naturally and then shaving it off when the time comes. That's my choice. That's how I'm going to deal with it. But just because that's my truth, it doesn't mean it's everyone else's truth. And I think a lot of people in the hair loss world that watch my videos struggle with that. They want their hair loss truth to be mine. They want me to take finasteride. They want me to get a hair transplant. That's their truth. But a confident man such as myself, I'm okay to tell you what I personally believe. But at the end of the video, it's still about you at that point. You decide what you're going to do. And just because it's different from what I believe doesn't mean it's better or worse. It just means it's what's right for you. But for me, I would feel like I would always be in danger of being exposed as some kind of phony if I had a hair transplant or I was doing something like that to keep my hair. I would rather go bald than people think that I cared that much about saving my hair. Disclaimer number 2, but Nick, you have like 2,300 videos about hair loss. You have 5,000 subscribers for a channel about hair loss. How can you say that? How can you say that? Again, it's not about me. In this case, it is about you. It's about me helping other people deal with their own hair loss to eventually get to the point where they find their hair loss truth and they're so secure in themselves that they're not trying to push their beliefs on other people like my hair loss haters are. Because hair loss haters believe that finasteride, Rogaine, minoxidil is the only way. They're very insecure. I'm very secure. Therefore, the one thing I want you to believe is whatever is best for you about hair loss, not what's best for me. This has not been a video about me telling you not to get a hair transplant or toupee. In fact, a lot of you should. Why? Because that's what you believe is truth in your own mind.